I was looking at the numbers just before we started this, and it is honestly difficult to wrap your head around the scale of it all.
The scale of air travel, you mean?
Yeah, the sheer scale. On any given day, any single day, you have roughly 100,000 commercial flights taking off and landing all over the world.
It's incredible.
And that means at any given moment, there are what, something like 6 million people just moving through the sky simultaneously?
It's the single largest coordinated logistical operation in human history, happening every single day. And yet,
And yet, when we're actually in it, when we're at the airport, we usually just feel annoyed.
that is the paradox, isn't it?
It is.
We're active participants in this absolute miracle of engineering and global cooperation, but our subjective experience is entirely defined by friction.
Right. The lines, the having to take your shoes off, the bad coffee, the eternal struggle for an armrest.
Exactly. We see the inconvenience. We completely miss the machine.
And that is exactly what I want to do with this deep dive. I want to stop looking at the airport as just a big waiting room and start looking at it as a machine. Because the sources we've pulled together for this are just fascinating. We aren't just talking about, simple travel tips here.
Not at all.
We're looking at the invisible architecture, the legal treaties, the security algorithms, the flow dynamics, all the stuff that dictates every single step you take from your front door to the hotel lobby on the other side.
It's effectively a decode of let's call it the advanced language of transit. Most people travel on autopilot. They just follow the signs.
Sure, of course.
We want to peel back that layer of reality that exists behind those signs.
Right. So we're going to track the entire chronological arc of a flight today, but we're going to stop at every single checkpoint and ask, why is this here? Who designed this? And what are the hidden rules we don't even know we're playing by?
From the packing paradox at home, right up to the physics of the jet engine itself.
Okay, so let's start where the anxiety usually starts for me anyway. The night before the flight. Phase 1. The art and science of preparation.
Ah, yes, the open suitcase.
You're at home, the suitcase is open on the bed, and for me, this is where the psychological battle truly begins.
The packing paradox.
Yeah.
And it's a very real psychological phenomenon.
It really is a paradox because I find myself oscillating between two, completely opposite extremes.
Okay.
On one hand, I'm the contingency planner, the absolute worst case scenario guy. I'm thinking, what if there's a freak blizzard? What if I get invited to a diplomatic gala at the last minute?
Right. What if I need 3 different types of chargers for devices I don't even own yet?
Exactly. So I overpack to a preposterous degree, just in case.
And that's the fear of being underprepared. It's an anxiety response, really.
Yeah.
You're trying to control what is fundamentally an uncontrollable environment by just bringing your entire domestic ecosystem with you.
That's a great way of putting it.
But then there's the other extreme, right?
Yeah.
The ruthless minimalism.
Oh, yeah. The one bag movement, the people who travel for 3 weeks with just a backpack.
Exactly. You want to be agile, you want to be free, so you pack so light that you arrive at your destination and you realize you lack something fundamental.
Like, appropriate footwear for a nice dinner or a raincoat in a city famous for rain.
You've traded preparedness for speed.
But let's look at the gear itself. Because when we talk about luggage in the travel industry, there is a very specific taxonomy, isn't there? It's not just bags.
There is, and the distinctions matter. They matter for your wallet, and they matter for your rights as a passenger.
Okay, so break it down for us. What's the first category?
So first, you have your hold luggage. This is the big stuff. In the U.S., it's more commonly called checked baggage.
Because it goes into the cargo hold of the plane?
Correct. This is the bag you surrender at the check-in desk. It travels in the belly of the plane, and you hope to see it again on the other side.
We'll get to that part later. So that's the hold luggage. Then what?
Then you have your cabin baggage, or as most people call it, the carry-on. This is the bag you retain possession of, the one you haul through the airport yourself.
And this is where we all know the stress of the size limits.
Oh, it's handled with militant precision now. It really is. Most carriers have these incredibly stringent dimensional restrictions, typically around 56 by 36 by 23 centimeters, something in that ballpark.
And you've seen those metal sizing frames they put by the gate?
The cage of doom.
The cage of doom. I hate those things with a passion.
It's a purely binary test, isn't it? It fits or it doesn't. There's no negotiation. If your bag doesn't just slot in seamlessly, you're looking at a pretty hefty surcharge or having it gate checked against your will.
Which is so frustrating. But here's where it gets really interesting, and I think where a lot of people get tripped up these days. The whole personal item controversy.
Yes. This is a crucial distinction.
This is the smaller bag, right?
Right.
Like a laptop sleeve or a handbag.
Ideally, yes. In theory, it's the ancillary bag that's meant to fit neatly under the seat in front of you. But this term, personal item, has entered the travel lexicon with increasing prominence, particularly with the rise of budget carriers.
It feels like they've weaponized the term.
They've monetized it. They use the distinction between a carry-on, which is destined for the overhead bin, and a personal item, which goes under the seat, as a massive revenue extraction method.
It absolutely feels like a trap. You buy what you think is a cheap basic economy ticket, and then you get to the gate and suddenly realize you're not even allowed to use the overhead bin.
Precisely. You have to think of the overhead bin as prime real estate. It has a value. If an airline can monetize that cubic footage, they absolutely will.
So if you bring a backpack that looks a little too stuffed,
They might just claim it a carry-on, not a personal item, and charge you $50 or $60 because the ticket you bought only included the space under the seat. It's a purely linguistic distinction with a very real and very severe financial penalty.
it's brutal. Okay, so the bags are packed. We've navigated the personal item minefield. Now we need the paperwork. But we don't really use paper anymore, do we? The classic paper ticket is dead.
It's an anachronism, a total relic. We have shifted entirely to the e-ticket, the electronic ticket.
Which isn't really a thing at all, is it? It's just data.
It is. It exists purely as a record in the airline's massive database. But within that digital realm, there's one very specific code you need to know about, the PNR.
The PNR.
Right.
I see this on my receipts all the time. It's usually 6 characters, a mix of letters and numbers.
That's the one. It stands for Passenger Name Record.
Right.
And that 6-character alphanumeric code is the unique DNA of your booking. It serves as your identifier across the entire global travel system.
Now, before we move on, I want to drill down on this PNR thing because it just seems like a random stream of letters, but it's actually a relic of history, isn't it? It's got a story.
It does. The 6-character limit isn't arbitrary. It comes from the original global distribution systems, or GDS, the computer networks like Sabre and Amadeus, which were built way back in the 1960s and 70s.
Okay, hold on. We are running our modern 21st century air travel system on 1960s computer architecture.
The backbone of it, yes. IBM built the first major system, Sabre, for American Airlines, and the memory constraints of computers back then were, they were incredibly severe. So they limited the file address, the record locator, to 6 characters.
And we are still using that exact standard today.
We are. It's so deeply embedded in the global infrastructure that changing it would be almost impossible.
So my trip to Tokyo next month is being managed by a ghost in the machine from the Nixon administration.
Effectively, yes. And that PNR, it's not just a number. It's a dossier. It's a file folder. Every time you request a wheelchair or order a special meal or input your frequent flyer number, that piece of data gets attached to the PNR, follows you everywhere you go.
That's fascinating. Now, here is a distinction that I think confuses a lot of people, even people who fly all the time. The difference between your booking confirmation and your boarding pass. They are not the same thing.
They are fundamentally distinct, and confusing them can cause some serious problems at the airport.
Okay, so let's clarify it once and for all. What is the booking confirmation?
Your booking confirmation, which is sometimes called an itinerary receipt, is just that. It's a receipt. It's the validation that a reservation exists in the system under your PNR. It proves you paid.
But it doesn't actually get you on the plane.
No. You can't just wave your confirmation email at the gate agent and expect to board.
Right. For that, you need the boarding pass.
You need the boarding pass. That is the actual authorization to board a specific flight. It contains all the critical operational data for that day,
Right.
the gate number, your allocated seat, the boarding zone.
But it's more than just informational, isn't it?
It's so much more. The boarding pass is a security token. When an airline issues you a boarding pass, it signifies that they have verified your identity against the PNR, checked you against security watch lists, and cleared you for entry into the secure area of the airport.
So, to put it simply, the confirmation says, I bought a ticket, and the boarding pass says, I'm allowed to fly today.
That's a perfect summary. Until you have that boarding pass, you are just a consumer with a receipt, not a passenger who is ready to travel.
Okay, that is crystal clear. Let's move to phase 2. We have the PNR, we have the bags, we're in the car or on the train heading to the airport. We arrive at the curb. This is landside logistics.
Landside, that's the key term for the public part of the airport. And the first cognitive task for any passenger here is wayfinding.
Which can be a total nightmare. I've been in airports where I genuinely felt like a rat in a maze.
Some are definitely better than others. Airports are labyrinthine structures, but they are designed, often purposely, to guide you. but they do follow a certain logic. You have terminals, which are the main large buildings, and these are often subdivided into concourses or piers, which are the long hallways where the actual gates are located. But the most important structural split is almost always vertical.
You mean departures and arrivals?
Exactly. Usually, though not universally, departures is on the upper level.
Why is that? I've always wondered if it was just a convention or if there's a reason for it.
There's a very practical reason. It's all about structural engineering and, well, physics.
Really?
Think about the spaces. A departure hall needs to be grand, open, with high ceilings for all the check-in desks and queuing areas. You want wide, open spans without many columns interrupting the flow of people.
Right. It feels airy and spacious.
But directly underneath that, on the arrival level, you have the baggage claim. And below that, or behind that, you have the baggage sorting machinery, the carousels, the conveyor belts. This is heavy industrial equipment.
Okay, I see where this is going.
And you have the roadway for pickups. It is structurally far easier and cheaper to put the big open space on top of that. The roof requires less internal support than to put it on the bottom, where you'd have to support the massive weight of the floor and all that machinery above it.
So gravity dictates the layout of the airport.
To a very large degree, yes. So you get dropped off at departures on the upper deck. You walk through the sliding doors, and what is the very first thing that almost everyone does?
You look up.
You look up. You look for the navigational anchor, the big board,
The departures board.
the FIDS.
The FIDS.
The Flight Information Display System. Those massive screens you see suspended from the ceiling, they act as the central nervous system for all the passengers in the terminal. It is the one single source of truth.
You're scanning for your flight number, your destination, and the status.
And, crucially, the specific check-in zone or desk number. This is where you might need to pay attention to some of the industry acronyms. You'll often see signs pointing you toward the CUSS kiosks.
CUS kiosks. That sounds like the place I go when my flight is canceled and I need to vent my frustration.
It is a rather unfortunate industry acronym, I'll grant you that. It stands for Common Use Self-Service.
Ah, okay. The self-check-in machines.
Exactly. These are the machines where you can scan your passport, print your own boarding pass, and tag your own bags.
I have a real love-hate relationship with these. On one hand, they're fast. On the other, I feel like I'm just doing the airline's job for them for free.
Well, you are. It's a classic case of labor displacement. But from the airport's perspective, it hugely speeds up throughput. Instead of one agent helping one person at a time, one agent can now supervise 10 or 15 kiosks at once.
That makes sense. But whether you use a machine or a human agent, you still have to go through the check-in ritual.
You do.
And part of that ritual is the interview. Even if it's just a machine asking you the questions on a screen, you always get those standard security questions. Did you pack this bag yourself? Has it left your possession at any time?
And these questions are all about establishing an unbroken chain of custody. They're legally required to ask. They're looking for dangerous goods.
Things like lithium batteries.
That is the big one now, yes. But also flammables, compressed gases, corrosives. You have to declare these things.
Yeah.
And then comes the moment we all dread, the weigh-in.
Ugh, I hate this part so much. You have to heave the suitcase onto that little conveyor scale.
And you hold your breath and you watch the digital readout flicker.
It's pure, unadulterated anxiety. Did I pack too many shoes? Is my scale at home calibrated differently than this hyper-accurate airport scale?
And the allowances can be confusing. Most long-haul carriers will permit something between 23 and 30 kilograms for an economy ticket. But the policies are incredibly heterogeneous. They vary wildly between airlines, destinations, and even ticket classes.
And if you're even a little bit over that allowance, you get hit with the excess baggage charges.
Which are exorbitant. It feels punitive, doesn't it?
It really does, like you're being punished for a crime.
And you're often talking hundreds of dollars for just a few extra kilos. It has become a massive profit center for airlines.
Because the actual cost to them can't be that high, can it?
The marginal cost to the airline of carrying an extra 2 kilos is negligible. It's essentially zero in terms of additional fuel burn for one single passenger's bag. But the fee they charge is substantial.
So it's both a deterrent and a revenue stream.
Exactly. Which brings us to a pro tip from the experts. Invest in a portable luggage scale.
I finally bought one of these last year, and it has changed my life.
It's a small, simple handheld device. You just hook it onto your suitcase handle at home, lift it up, and you know exactly what it weighs down to the gram. It saves you from that financial heartache at the check-in desk and maybe more importantly, the public embarrassment of having to open your bag on the floor of the terminal to rearrange your underwear.
Been there, done that, not fun. Okay, so the bag is checked. It has disappeared into the depths of the airport on a conveyor belt, which, by the way, is a whole other fascinating world we don't have time for, the BHS, or baggage handling system. But we have to move forward. We are approaching phase 3, the great equalizer.
Security screening.
It really is the great equalizer, isn't it? It doesn't matter if you're a CEO or a college student. Everyone has to take their belt off.
It is a ritual of partial disrobing and the temporary surrender of all personal dignity. The technical industry term for this process is actually divestment.
Divestment. I like that. It sounds much fancier than taking off my shoes and standing in my socks on a slightly sticky floor.
You divest yourself of your outerwear, your jacket, any belts with metal buckles, and of course large electronics like laptops and tablets. You place them all into the screening trays or bins.
And then you face the hardware. Sometimes it's a simple walk-through metal detector, but increasingly it's that big glass tube where you have to stand with your hands up like a starfish.
The millimeter wave body scanner.
Right. How does that actually work? Is it an X-ray? I think a lot of people worry about that.
No, and that's a very common misconception. It's not an X-ray. It uses non-ionizing electromagnetic radiation, which is essentially just very low-power radio waves.
So it's safe.
Completely safe. It bounces these waves off your skin. Now, if there's something between your skin and the waves, like a weapon or a packet of drugs or even just a heavy folded handkerchief, it creates an anomaly in the reflection. It's looking for density differences against the contour of your body.
Got it. But I think for most people, the single biggest headache in security is still the liquids, the whole LEGS regime.
Liquids, aerosols, and gels.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the 3-1-1 rule in the U.S., or more broadly, the 100-milliliter rule that's used globally.
Okay, can we just pause on this for a second? Why are we still doing this? It feels like we are fighting a war from almost 20 years ago. Is 100 milliliters of a liquid safe, but 105 milliliters is suddenly deadly?
The context here is absolutely key. This was implemented globally after the foiled transatlantic aircraft plot of 2006. Intelligence agencies uncovered a very sophisticated plan to detonate liquid explosives that were disguised as soft drinks on multiple flights.
What kind of explosives are we talking about?
Usually peroxide-based compounds like TATP. The critical issue isn't just the substance itself. It's about achieving a critical mass. You need a certain volume to create a chain reaction that's powerful enough to breach the hull of an aircraft.
Ah, so the 100 milliliter limit isn't arbitrary.
Not at all. It's a scientifically determined limit designed to keep the volume of any single container well below that dangerous critical threshold. And the one-bag rule, that everything has to fit in a single 1-liter transparent bag, prevents you from bringing 50 little bottles and mixing them together on board to create a larger explosive.
It's about physics and chemistry, not just random annoyance.
Precisely. However, you are right to be skeptical about its longevity because the technology is finally changing. We're seeing the slow deployment of CT scanners.
CT scanners, like a medical CT scan.
It's a very similar technology. The old X-ray machines that are still in most airports just give a flat 2D image. These new CT scanners generate a full 3D rotatable image of your bag's contents.
Wow.
The security agents can virtually slice through your bag on their screen. They can zoom in, and the software can mathematically determine the precise density of a liquid inside a bottle without you ever having to open it or take it out.
That would be a complete game changer. That means the laptop stays in the bag, the liquids stay in the bag.
It does, and the data shows it increases passenger throughput at security by 30 to 40%. It's a massive improvement.
Yeah.
Some major airports already have this technology rolled out, but, and this is a very big but, it creates what we call a patchwork problem.
Right. I can see that. Because if my home airport in London has the fancy new scanners, I might pack a big bottle of shampoo. But if my connecting airport in, say, Frankfurt doesn't.
You're going to lose the shampoo at the connection point. Exactly. Travelers now have to be aware of the specific technological capabilities of every single airport on their itinerary. We're in a very messy and often confusing transition period.
Okay, so let's assume we've survived the divestment. We've put our belts and shoes back on, we grab our trays, we are now crossing a major invisible threshold in the airport. Phase 4, airside economics, and the gate.
This is the most significant boundary in the entire building.
Yeah.
You are crossing from landside, the public unsecured area, to airside, the sterile secure area. Only ticketed, screened passengers are allowed to be here.
And the very first thing you almost always see when you get airside is what looks like a giant shopping mall. In fact, many modern airports force you to walk through the duty-free shop just to get to the gates. It's like the IKEA effect.
It is an extremely aggressive form of retail design. They call that period right after security the golden hour.
The golden hour.
Yes. You've passed the stress of security, so your anxiety level drops. You probably have an hour or two to kill before your flight. And you are, for all intents and purposes, trapped. It's a retailer's dream scenario.
So let's unpack the duty-free myth, because you see people going crazy in there. They're buying giant Toblerones and expensive bottles of whiskey, thinking they're getting the deal of a lifetime.
It's a fascinating and powerful commercial ecosystem. The technical definition is actually quite simple. Duty-free means the goods are being sold exempt from local import duties and taxes, things like VAT or sales tax, because the buyer is technically in the process of leaving that country's tax jurisdiction.
So you aren't paying the local tax. That sounds like a win.
On the surface, yes. However, tax-free does not automatically mean cheaper than the price on the high street.
How so?
The retailer knows you think you're saving, say, 20% on tax, so what's to stop them from marking up the base price of the item by 15%? They pocket most of the difference, and you still walk away feeling like you got a bargain.
It's a trap, a psychological trap.
It can be. It's built on an information asymmetry. You feel like you're saving money, so you spend more. But unless you happen to know the exact street price of that specific bottle of scotch back home, you can't really be sure you're getting a good deal at all.
Okay, so we navigate the Toblerone gauntlet, and we finally find our gate. Now we're sitting there watching the status indicators on the screen.
Right. You have on time, you have boarding, and then you have the one that gets your heart rate up, final call.
The penultimate warning. Time to run.
And then there's the one you truly dread, gate change.
The mandatory cardio workout. Especially if you're in a massive hub like Atlanta or Dubai, you might actually have to sprint a mile to get to the new gate.
But let's talk about what happens when things go wrong at this stage. Delays. This is important. If you are flying from or within Europe or on any European carrier, you absolutely need to know about a regulation called EU 261.
This is the law that protects passengers, right? I've heard this is much, much stronger than the protections we have in the U.S.
It is a remarkably powerful piece of consumer protection legislation. It's really a gold standard. Depending on the length of the delay and the distance of the flight, it entitles passengers to a duty of care.
A duty of care? What does that mean?
It means the airline has to provide you with meals and refreshments. If the delay is overnight, they have to provide accommodation. But the real teeth of the law is the cash compensation.
Actual cash, not just a voucher for a future flight.
No, actual cash transferred to your bank account. And it can be significant. We're talking up to 600 euros per passenger. If your flight is delayed in arriving at its final destination by more than a certain threshold, usually 3 hours, and it's the airline's fault, you have rights.
That is a crucial nugget of information for our listeners. Google EU 261 before you fly anywhere near Europe. Okay, so let's say the plane is there, it's on time, it's time to board. And this is always a rigid hierarchy, isn't it?
It's a very clear social structure enacted in real time. You have pre-boarding for passengers needing assistance or families with young children. Then come the premium cabins first in business class. After that, priority boarding for elite status holders. And finally, the rest of us in numbered zones.
And we all shuffled down the jet bridge.
The jet bridge or the telescoping walkway. Unless, of course, you're flying from a smaller airport or on an ultra-low-cost carrier, in which case you might find yourself walking out onto the apron.
It's tarmac.
The tarmac, yes. And boarding via a set of mobile stairs.
I have to admit, I actually kind of like that sometimes. You get to be out in the elements, you get the smell of the jet fuel, the noise. You really get to see the immense scale of the plane you're about to get on.
It does give you a much more visceral sense of the machinery. You realize you're about to step inside this massive aluminum tube that's going to defy gravity.
So we step onto the plane, and we enter Phase 5, the tube in the sky. We are officially on board.
Welcome to the world of cabin geography.
We have the various classes of service, economy or coach. Then there's premium economy, which is becoming very popular. And then business and first class up at the pointy end.
And the seating configuration. You'll often hear aviation geeks like us say something like, oh, it's a 343 layout on that 777.
Which simply refers to the layout of the seat columns. 3 seats by 1 window, a block of 4 in the middle, and 3 seats by the other window. Now, we have to talk about seat selection strategy. This is a very divisive topic.
Extremely. It reveals a lot about a person's priorities. You have the window people, the gazers, the dreamers, and the sleepers. They have the wall to lean their head on, which is key for getting any real sleep on a long flight.
Then you have the aisle people.
The pragmatists.
Yeah.
The realists. They want unrestricted access to the lavatory and the ability to stretch one leg out into the aisle. They value freedom of movement over the view.
And then there's the middle seat.
Ah, the poor, unfortunate middle seat, the one nobody chooses willingly.
Is there any strategy for the middle seat? Or is it just accepting your fate of suffering?
Well, there is the theory of the middle seat social contract.
Oh, I have very strong feelings about this. Please tell me the official contract.
The theory is this. Since the window person gets the view and the wall, and the aisle person gets the freedom of movement and the extra legroom in the aisle, the middle seat occupant, as a form of compensatory justice, deserves undisputed ownership of both armrests.
Yes, 1,000 times yes. It's the only thing they have.
It is their small kingdom. If you are in the aisle or the window seat, the polite, unspoken rule is that you should yield the shared armrests to the person in the middle.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate here. If I'm in the aisle, I'm the one getting constantly bumped by the drinks cart, I'm getting knocked by passengers walking by, don't I deserve an armrest to kind of protect my space?
You still have the armrest on the aisle side to define your territory.
Yeah.
The shared internal armrest by the common law of the skies should go to the middle.
I think we need to get that printed on the back of the safety cards. Speaking of which, let's talk about special seats. The bulkhead and the exit row.
Two very different propositions. The bulkhead is the seat directly behind a partition wall. The big pro is that you have no seat in front of you that can recline into your space, which is great.
But the con?
The big con is that you have no underseat storage for your personal item. Everything has to go up into the overhead bin for takeoff and landing.
So you have to fight for that precious bin space.
Exactly. And then you have the exit row. It's the classic trade-off.
Yeah.
Space versus responsibility. You get all that glorious legroom, but you are required by law to be willing and able to assist the crew in an evacuation. You can't have a disability. You can't be a child. You have to be able to physically operate the door.
Right. Okay, so we're seated. Our bags are stowed wheels first, please.
Always wheels first. It maximizes the geometry of the bin and allows more bags to fit. It's just good citizenship.
And the safety demo begins. I know we all tune this out. We put on our headphones. We've seen it 1,000 times. But does it actually matter?
The data from aviation safety agencies like the NTSB suggests that it absolutely does. Yes. Studies of incidents have shown that attentive passengers have measurably better survival outcomes in emergencies. Just knowing where the life vest is, it's usually under your seat, but sometimes it's in the center armrest, or how the oxygen mask actually works.
Pull down firmly to start the flow of oxygen.
Exactly. That sharp tug you give the mask pulls a pin that fires a chemical oxygen generator above your head. It's not a tank of compressed air, it's a chemical reaction. If you don't pull it, you don't get any oxygen. Knowing that one simple fact saves critical seconds, and seconds matter.
That's a sobering thought. So the demo ends, the door is closed, and now we get into the physics of departure. This is my favorite part of the flight.
First up is pushback. The aircraft doesn't have a reverse gear well. Technically, it can use thrust reversers to move backwards, but it's incredibly noisy, inefficient, and dangerous at the gate. So a small but powerful tug vehicle has to physically push the plane out of the gate and onto the taxiway.
Then we're taxiing, moving slowly under our own power. And at some point, you'll hear that announcement from the cabin. Cabin crew, doors to automatic. Or sometimes arm doors and cross-check.
This is a critical safety procedure. The crew is arming the emergency slides on each door. They are physically engaging a metal bar into brackets on the floor. If that door were to be opened while it's in the armed position, the slide would explosively deploy and inflate in seconds, powered by a canister of compressed gas.
So a very important reminder, don't touch the door handle in flight.
Definitely not.
Then we line up on the runway. The engines spool up with that characteristic whine. We accelerate. And for the pilots up in the cockpit, this is a very calculated high-stakes moment. They're calling out specific speeds.
V1, VV2.
What is V1? I've always heard that one in movies.
V1 is the decision speed. It is the absolute point of no return. Before reaching V1, if an engine fails or something else goes wrong, the pilots can safely abort the takeoff and stop on the remaining runway.
And after V1?
After V1, you are committed to fly. You are going too fast to start safely on the ground. Even if an engine explodes, you are taking that plane into the air and dealing with the problem up there.
Wow. That is both terrifying and incredibly reassuring at the same time. And then VR.
VR is rotation speed. That is the calculated speed at which the pilot pulls back on the control column, the nose lifts off the runway, and the wings are generating enough lift to overcome gravity.
And then you feel that satisfying thump a few seconds later.
That's the landing gear retracting into the bay to reduce drag. You are officially flying.
So now we climb, and we enter phase 6, life at 35,000 feet.
Our cruising altitude, usually somewhere between 30,000 and 42,000 feet, where the air is thin and there's less resistance.
The seatbelt sign goes off, but the captain always comes on the intercom and says, "For your safety, please keep it fastened when you're seated." And I feel like most people just ignore this. They think, oh, it's smooth, I'm fine.
And you should absolutely listen to the captain on this one. The major threat up there is something called clear air turbulence.
What exactly is that?
Well, normal turbulence is often caused by things you can see. Big storm clouds, for example. The pilots can see it coming on their weather radar and fly around it. Clear air turbulence is completely invisible.
So what causes it?
It's chaotic air movement in perfectly clear skies, often caused by the interaction of different jet streams, or by air flowing over high mountain ranges. It can hit the aircraft with absolutely no warning and cause it to drop or rise hundreds of feet in a second.
So if you're walking around the cabin, or even just sleeping without a belt on,
You become a projectile. The G-forces can throw you straight into the ceiling. It's the #1 cause of injuries to passengers and crew in flight. Just keeping the belt loosely buckled over your lap when you're in your seat can prevent serious injury.
that's good advice. Let's talk about something a little nicer. In-flight service. The food.
The catering. It has evolved a lot over the years, but it always faces a huge, insurmountable challenge. Physics.
Ah, yes, the classic question. Why does food taste so different and usually so much worse on a plane?
It's the cabin environment. The cabin is pressurized, but only to the equivalent of about 8,000 feet of elevation. On top of that, the air is incredibly dry. The humidity is lower than in the Sahara Desert.
And that affects our taste.
Dramatically. The dryness and low pressure dry out your nasal passages, which severely reduces your sense of smell. And your sense of smell accounts for about 80% of what you perceive as taste.
So everything just tastes bland.
Exactly. Studies have shown that our perception of saltiness and sweetness drops by about 30% at altitude. But interestingly, our ability to taste umami, that savory, brothy taste you find in things like tomatoes, mushrooms, and Parmesan cheese, is actually enhanced by the low pressure and background noise.
Wait, is that why everyone drinks tomato juice on planes?
It is. It's a genuine phenomenon. People who would never touch this stuff on the ground crave it in the air. The umami makes it taste rich and almost sweet up there, while it might taste earthy and acidic on the ground.
My mind is blown. Okay, and to pass the time while we drink our tomato juice, we have the IFE.
In-flight entertainment, we've come a long way, from the single projector screen at the front of the cabin back in the 90s to personal seatback screens, and now increasingly to just streaming content directly to your own device.
And of course, Wi-Fi. We are now connected almost everywhere we go, which is a mixed blessing, I think.
It absolutely is. It destroys that last sanctuary of being truly disconnected from the world, but it enables business to continue and distracts a lot of people.
So hours pass. You've watched 3 movies. You've eaten a questionable pasta dish, or perhaps a very satisfying tomato juice. And now the engine tone changes. The nose dips. We are descending. Phase 7, the return to Earth.
Approach and landing. The pilots are aligning the plane with the runway, often using the ILS, the Instrument Landing System.
What's that?
It's a set of radio beams transmitted from the ground. One gives the plane precise horizontal guidance to the runway centerline, and another gives a precise vertical guidance for the correct glide slope. It allows for safe landings, even in fog or very low visibility.
We touch down, and immediately there's that huge, deafening roar. It honestly sounds like the plane is tearing itself apart.
Those are the thrust reversers.
What is actually happening there mechanically?
It's a common misconception that the engines are spinning backwards. That's physically impossible. Instead, large mechanical shells or doors on the outside of the engine slide into place, blocking the normal rearward flow of the exhaust and redirecting it forward and out to the sides.
So the jet blast is literally shooting forward to push against the air and slow the plane down.
Exactly. It uses the engine's own immense power to decelerate the massive weight of the aircraft, which saves a huge amount of wear and tear on the wheel brakes.
And then we taxi to the gate. The seatbelt light finally turns off, and we witness a truly bizarre sociological phenomenon.
The irrational, immediate urge to stand up.
Everyone jumps up. As soon as that ding goes off, they're crooked, their necks bent under the curve of the overhead bins, just standing there for 10, 15 minutes before the door even opens. Why do we do this? It doesn't make the door open any faster.
It's pure psychology. For the last 6, 8, 10 hours, you have been cargo. You have had no control. You've been strapped into a tiny seat. The simple act of standing up is a reclamation of agency. It feels like you're doing something to expedite your escape.
So we shuffle off the plane, and now we hit the hard border. Immigration. Passport control.
The queues begin to divide. There's one for citizens, one for EIA if you're in Europe, and one for all other non-residents.
And more we're seeing the rise of the e-gates.
Automated border control. You scan the photo page of your passport, you look at a camera, it uses biometric verification, sophisticated facial recognition, and matches your face in real time to the data stored on the electronic chip in your passport.
But if you get a human officer, there is the brief interrogation.
It's not always an interrogation, but they do have a script they're following. They're trying to quickly assess your intent.
Right. What is the purpose of your visit? Business or leisure? How long are you staying? Do you have proof of onward travel?
They want to be sure that you have a legitimate reason to enter and, more importantly, that you intend to leave. They're filtering for people who might try to overstay their visa or work illegally.
Exactly. And then there's the money question.
Right. This is about anti-money laundering regulations. In most countries, the threshold is around $10,000 in cash. If you're carrying more than that, or the equivalent in foreign currency, you absolutely must declare it. It's not illegal to carry it, but it is very illegal to hide it from them.
You make it through the border, you are officially in the country. Sort of. You still need your stuff. We're now in phase 8, the aftermath.
Baggage and customs.
We all shuffle towards the baggage carousel. And this is where reclaim anxiety kicks in.
Will my bag appear? Or has it been mishandled?
We don't say lost.
The industry prefers the term mishandled. The vast majority of bags that don't arrive with you aren't truly lost forever. They're just delayed and will show up on the next flight.
And technology is helping here too, right?
It is. Many airlines are moving to RFID tags, radio frequency identification, which are replacing the old barcodes. These tags can be scanned automatically from a distance, which gives the airline a much more accurate, real-time picture of where your bag is in the system at any given moment.
But let's say the worst happens. The carousel stops moving. Everyone else is left. Your bag isn't there. What do you do?
This is absolutely critical. You must not leave the baggage hall. You need to find the airline's baggage service desk, which is always located inside that secure area, and you need to file a PIR. Property Irregularity Report. This is the mandatory legal document. It officially registers your bag as missing and generates a tracking code. If you leave the airport without filing that PIR, the airline can, and often will, claim that you received your bag and lost it yourself later on.
So that piece of paper is your only proof. And there's a treaty that protects us here too, like the EU 261 for delays.
Yes, there is. It's called the Montreal Convention. It's a powerful international treaty that establishes airline liability for lost, damaged, or delayed luggage on international flights. It also sets the compensation limits in a special kind of currency called special drawing rights, or SDRs.
A fake currency, what is that?
It's a currency basket created by the IMF. It's a way to standardize the value across different global currencies. Currently, the liability limit is around 12,288 SDRs per passenger.
And what does that translate to in real money?
It's roughly $1,700 US. That is the maximum cap on what the airline owes you if they lose your bag for good, provided you have receipts or some proof of the value of the contents.
So lesson learned, fill out the PIR, know your Montreal Convention rights. Finally, you have your bag, hopefully. There is one last filter, customs.
The green channel, the red channel, and sometimes the blue channel.
Green is nothing to declare.
This is for most of us, most of the time. You are within your personal allowances for things like alcohol, tobacco, and gifts. You're just passing through.
Red is goods to declare.
Correct. This is if you're carrying commercial samples or you've brought back more wine than the allowance permits, or if you're carrying that $10,000 in cash we talked about.
And blue, I haven't seen that one as often.
The blue channel is specifically for arrivals from within the same customs union, like intra-EU travel. Since you're not crossing an external customs border, you've technically already cleared customs at your point of origin.
You walk through the green channel, the automatic sliding doors open, and you're out, you see the crowd of people holding up signs with misspelled names, and you're finally free.
You have successfully navigated the entire machine.
It is truly amazing when you break it down like that, piece by piece. It's not just taking a flight. It is this massive, complex series of discrete interactions and procedures.
It really is. From the PNR code that was generated months ago when you booked, to the physics of airflow over the wings at rotation speed, all the way to the biometrics at the border, it is an unbelievably intricate choreography involving millions of people and machines every single day.
So when we pull it all together, what's the big takeaway here?
I think it's about developing what you could call communicative agility. Real fluency in travel isn't just about knowing the vocabulary we've talked about. It's about gaining the ability to navigate the inherent chaos of the system.
Okay.
It's understanding those rapid-fire gate announcements. It's knowing your rights when there's a long delay. And it's handling all the logistical hurdles with a sense of confidence, not panic.
It transforms the stress into a feeling of competence. When you understand why the rules exist, why the liquids are limited, why the bag fees are so high, it all feels a lot less personal and arbitrary.
Exactly. You stop being a passive victim of the system and you start being an informed user of the system.
So here is our final thought for you to take away. The next time you find yourself at an airport, just for a second, stop looking at your phone. Look at the machinery around you. Look at the alphanumeric codes on the bag tags. Listen to the specific words the gate agents use in their announcements.
Appreciate the complex mechanics and the sheer human effort required to move you safely across the world. It really is a modern marvel.
And frankly, on a more basic level, just appreciate the simple fact that your bag arrived on the same carousel as you did.
Indeed. There's no better feeling. Keep your luggage intact.
Safe travels, everyone. We will see you on the next deep dive.
Goodbye for now.